Imagine a world where safety doesn't rely on how much money defense companies make. A world where peace isn't based on building more weapons, but on fairness, honesty, and treating people with respect. That's what I want to talk about today. The military-industrial complex. It's this system of government, corporations, and politics that all benefit from making and selling weapons of destruction. And while it claims to keep us safe, it actually does more harm than good. The military-industrial complex doesn't really protect our values, but instead it pushes violence, takes away money from things we actually need, and changes what it even means to be safe.
Let's start with the moral grounds. Back in 1995, a group of Catholic bishops in the U.S. wrote a letter called Sowing Weapons of War. In it, they said, the arms race must be replaced by a common effort to secure the future. They weren't just talking about numbers and strategy. They were saying that making and selling weapons for money goes against human dignity. It's wrong. Pope Francis had said similar things during his time as Pope. In a speech to social justice activists, he warned that the arms industry is a key factor behind many conflicts. He also called out countries that say they want peace but turn around and sell weapons to other nations. That kind of hypocrisy shows how deep the problem is. It's not just about policy, it's about what we value as people. For leaders like Francis and the bishops, peace isn't just when no one's fighting. Peace means people are treated fairly, have what they need to live, and can talk things out. War, especially war that makes someone a prophet, destroys that kind of peace.
Now let's talk money. From a practical, real-world view, this system also hurts people by wasting resources. Philosopher Edmund Burke wrote a piece called Weaponized Poverty, where he says that spending billions on war makes poverty even worse. And instead of helping people with healthcare, education, or housing, we're giving that money to weapons companies producing these weapons. As he states in his article, quote, when so much of society's wealth is used for war making, its social and ethical structure erodes, unquote. That means the more we spend on war, the more broken our country becomes. There's also a campaign called Bread Not Stones that brings this idea to life. It says when we spend money on missiles and other weapons of destruction, we're choosing not to feed kids, not to build schools, and other necessary things in our society. One of their posters in their article says, every missile built is a school not funded, a child not fed. That's not just a clever slogan. It's actually a reality in our society. Every dollar going to the defense industry could have helped someone live a better life. And it's not like regular people are getting rich off this. It's the big defense companies, all those big corporations, and CEOs making millions, while taxpayers, especially the working class folks, are left with the bill for paying the taxes. This whole system puts profits over the common good of society.
But not everyone sees it that way. Ira Stoll wrote a piece called In Defense of the Defense Industry, where he takes the opposite side. He says companies like Raytheon are protecting Americans and our allies from serious threats. For example, they make the Iron Dome that protects Israel from missile attacks, and the Javelin missiles Ukraine uses to defend against Russia. Stoll argues that the defense industry is actually saving lives. He also says that military tech often leads to things we all use, like radar, the internet, and even cell phones. He also thinks efforts to avoid investing in defense companies like ESG funds or new state laws could actually put us in danger by weakening our military. He's worried that too many people are attacking the defense industry without thinking about the bigger picture. He even points to protesters who interrupted a Harvard class because a professor was connected to Raytheon. He sees that as proof that this issue is getting blown out of proportion. To him, defending the military industry is the same as defending our country. And yeah, national defense does matter, but this view makes a big assumption that being safe means spending more and more on weapons, and that asking tough questions makes you unpatriotic. That's a problem.
So what's the solution? How can we be safe without militarism? What if we thought about security differently? Being safe doesn't just mean having more weapons than the other guy or the other enemy. It should also mean people have jobs, healthcare, food, and justice. Because that's another part of society that keeps us safe. The view shared by the Pope Francis, the bishops, and other secular thinkers like Byrne is that real security comes from taking care of people in society, not just building up our military. Right now, the military-industrial complex runs on having the most weapons possible and running on fear. They promote the military-industrial complex by keeping us scared all the time, and that the only answer to this fear is to provide more weapons and produce more missiles. That just leads to more war, more profits, and more fear. It's a reoccurring cycle. The Bible has this powerful image in the book of Isaiah. They shall beat their swords into plowshares. This quote is saying that we should use our resources more wisely instead of using them for weapons and use them for the common good instead. While I do agree that Stoll is right and that there are real threats out there, but he doesn't answer the deeper question, how can we truly stop war altogether? How can we prevent war from starting? All the defense industry does is help us while we are in the war, instead of actually preventing the war altogether.
Here's another problem. The military-industrial complex messes with our democracy. The bishops and sewing weapons of war talk about how defense companies have excessive influence over politics. When big weapons manufacturers donate to campaigns or pressure lawmakers, regular people lose their say. Stoll's article actually shows this, even if he didn't mean to. He talks about defense industry people showing up on university boards and shaping conversations. That's part of the problem. When the people who profit from war are the same people shaping policy and education, we've got a conflict of interest. A healthy democracy needs to be free from that kind of corporate control. It should be about what's right, not what's profitable.
This isn't just a political debate, it's a moral one. The military-industrial complex puts money all over peace, weapons over people, and fear over hope. Of course we need defense, but we do not need to build our whole society around war. There's another way. A way that invests in human dignity, fairness, common good, and peace. We can spend our resources on things that make life better, not things that cause destruction. And we can stop believing the lie that safety comes from who has the biggest arsenal. As the bishop said, sow seeds of peace, not weapons of war. That's the kind of world we should be building, and that's a future worth fighting for.